Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. I'm Julie, your host, and I'm so delighted you could join us this week. My intention in doing this show is to provide information, insight, and comfort to people all around the world by helping to answer life's unanswerable questions. And this week, we have a special guest, Miss Whitney Walker. Hi, Whitney. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Everybody, I was on Whitney's podcast recently, and this is such a great title. It's called the Women Waken Podcast. I love that. How did you come up with that title?
Well, so I was back in 2020 in the summer when we were all quarantined, I decided to start my own private practice. I'm a mental health therapist. And I was creating my website, and I wanted to create a name for it that was more than just about therapy. I wanted it to be more of a broader message and a vision that I was developing and wanting to share with people. And to me, Women Waken represents the awakening of some of the divine feminine traits that women have inherently that I believe are guiding us and going to bring us to a place where there's a restoration of greater harmony and peace and more emphasis on love, compassion, kindness rather than greed, profit, growth, all of those things that, both are necessary, but we have a strong imbalance right now. So when I think of Women Waken, it's the idea of women recognizing and awakening to the idea that they're needed at this time, that their unique traits and abilities are needed to restore harmony and restore that balance.
Why do you say that you think that that we're out of harmony and the female, what I like to call intuitive female skill sets are more needed than ever, and you don't think they're prevalent with what's happening in the world today? Tell us a little bit about your thoughts along those lines.
That I don't think they're prevalent is in that they're not here, that women's intuition and such is not present.
Well, in your title of your show, the Women Waken podcast, it seems to me like, okay, women, get a grip here. You need to step up and help out because we're out of balance, is what I'm hearing you say. Is that what you're feeling and what you're experiencing?
Yeah, I think it's not present enough. I think that, and rightfully so, I think there's a lot of intimidation and timidness for women to come forward with what their natural abilities and calling is, what naturally comes to them, because psychic abilities, intuition, all of those are things that are inherent. They're very natural. They're natural abilities, but they're not always as openly accepted or openly embraced or seen as valuable in some ways. And I think that people turn away from them and deny them. And I think that that's gotten us to where we are, where I think in a lot of ways, we're very detached from that which is our natural abilities and gifts.
Mm-hmm. I agree, because women do have, the scientists, and you're kind of a scientist with all your fancy degrees, I guess. They say that women use both sections of their brain. To those men that are listening, that's why you love us in our intuition, because we can kind of see a bigger picture from a 40,000 foot perspective at times. And I think it's interesting that I agree with you that we all come in with intuitive abilities, both men and women. Men just call it a gut feeling. But I think that women have been healers and visionaries and all of that throughout the ages. I mean, certainly the Salem witch trials and the healers and all of them that were prosecuted. That's what they were doing. They were using herbs to heal people. And it was ancient. So I love that. I love that you're focused on that, and you're saying, okay, rise up, women. Time to step up to the plate with all of this. Tell everybody a little bit about how you came to be doing the work that you're doing with people, and then how has it changed since you started your show, which, by the way, the links to Whitney's show are on all my social media at Ask Julie Ryan. So you can just go on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, whatever, and just go under Ask Julie Ryan and you'll see the link. But have you noticed that there's been a difference in your work since you've added your show?
Yeah, I would say that that my work is becoming increasingly more spiritually focused, more about people really finding, reconnecting with themselves and finding their own gifts and sort of bringing them forward. I originally got into therapy because I had benefited so greatly from therapy when I was younger, because I struggled with addiction and an eating disorder and a lot of trauma. And I hit bottom and I didn't know how to go on any further. I felt, very, very lost and disconnected, and therapy helped me a lot. And so I specialize in addiction and trauma and all of those things. And yet I also just feel this bigger calling, which is why I started my podcast, was to allow people to talk about what happens when we do heal. What is going on when we're in this place of self-destruction, of unresolved trauma that's causing all of this conflict within us? What happens when we begin to clear that? What comes forth? Well, what comes forth is really beautiful. It's really phenomenal. It's, again, that power, those natural abilities that have been, that we conceal ourselves and that also have been kind of pushed down just in general by society, because, women's intuition is not as fancy as, sort of more the masculine innovative energy, which again is a beautiful thing in and of itself, but it's just, we give most of our credit to things that are profitable and innovative and more exciting and powerful, rather than that which is more rooted and grounded in our true essence. And so that kind of balancing is the work that I do a lot with clients. And I love being able to share my podcast as a resource for clients that I have. For example, your show, when people, I have people who, they come to me for depression, and, little by little over the course of our work together, they'll say, well, I've always kind of thought that I connected with spirits, or I felt like I was being, directed towards something, or that I could sense something energetically. And I can say, oh, wow, okay, well, check out Julie Ryan, because she knows how to communicate in those ways and has those abilities, and you might as well. In fact, you absolutely do, because we all do, right?
Right. Yeah, it's a matter of just developing and then enhancing them. We all come in with the hardware, if you will, and then it's just a matter of booting up the hardware and the software and just practicing, and everybody can do it. We all do it now. We'll have a thought of somebody, and then the next day or within a short period of time, we'll either get a text or a call or an email from them, or sometimes we'll run into them and we'll say, oh my gosh, I was just thinking of you. And they'll say, oh, what a coincidence. Well, there's no coincidence there. That's your psychic ability that's coming into play to let you know that you're going to be seeing that person. So that's terrific. Well, I love that you're able to help people tune into their spiritual abilities, natural inherent abilities, because I find that it really helps guide us, especially in times of trouble. If we can take a step back, and I'm interested to hear what you think about that. When there's a spiritual component, that you're not alone in this. And I know that's a lot of therapy too with addiction. We all think if we're an addict of something, I'm a recovering sugar addict. So I put myself in the category with everybody else that's doing whatever other kind of addiction. And the more I talk about it, the more I realize that there are a lot of us out there, and I'm not just an island by myself trying to stay away from the cookies.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to know that we're not alone.
Well, and how do you integrate the spiritual into that, in helping them know that they're not alone? Do you incorporate that in I know you do on your show, but do you incorporate that in your private practice?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I would say the one question that I start with that leads in that direction is, if someone's feeling really frustrated with, habits like that, if they have a sugar addiction, if they're having trouble with their eating, if they're not able to accept themselves, whatever it is. And I ask them, well, who are you? And because to me, that's the essence of spirituality, is asking yourself, who am I? Am I just a body? Am I just, my name in this lifetime, and that's all I am? Or, well, who is in there? Who's living this life? What is that because it gets people thinking, because you and I know, because I know that you do a lot of work with people's past lives, that we're far from just us in this one lifetime, in this body. But when you think that that's all you are, then it can feel very detrimental when you feel that you're not what you wanted to be, and that you're not enough, and that you're not, accepted, and you're not embraced by others, and all these things. When you're disconnected from your spirituality, everything in the material world, feels like life or death. Like, well, either I'm successful and I have a family and kids, or I'm just, I'm nothing. So when you ask someone who they are, they have to really think about, well, I'm a teacher, I'm a mom. Well, no, those are titles. Who are you?
Yeah.
And it always gets people, I've never had one client who eventually didn't say, I don't know who I am. I really don't.
All right. Well, Whitney, thanks so much for joining us. All of Whitney's contact information will be in the show notes. Again, all of the links are on my social media, and it's Whitney Walker Women Awaken podcast. Stay with us, everybody. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll get some more callers on, and we'll see what their questions are. You're listening to the Ask Julie Ryan Show, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Let's go to the phones and see who's joined us this evening. Our first caller is Richard. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Julie. First time.
How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you.
Good. Well, I'm sure your intuitive abilities are wonderful, right? But it's called gut instincts with guys, and it's called intuition with women. Have you found that to be the case?
Yeah, I think I have a little bit of both.
Well, I think everybody does too, but I just think society calls it different things. So, yeah, well, welcome. Do you have a question? First of all, where are you? Where are you located?
I live in Sarasota, Florida, which is about 60 miles south of Tampa, Florida.
I know Sarasota. When I was in high school in Columbus, Ohio, a bunch of my friends' families bought condos on Siesta Key for like $30,000 to $50,000. And now those condos are all worth over $1 million. So I used to go down with my friends to those condos when they were developing it. So I always laugh about that and think, oh, my gosh, what an investment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to first say that I just heard of your work through my Helping Parent Field chapter in Tampa. And I just want to thank you for the good work that you do.
Oh, what an amazing organization. I'm sorry you've lost a child. And they are, they're just earth angels, aren't they? That gang doing that. Yeah. Wonderful.
Well, mine's more about my health. And after losing my daughter, she was 14 unexpectedly about 6 years ago. A few months after that, I started having some health issues. And it's just kind of been building up over time. About 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And I've been dealing with some things and kind of figuring it out, sometimes doing better, sometimes not doing better. And about 4 months ago, I found out that I have mercury toxicity. And just recently, I found out that I have a mycotoxin of mold. So I'm planning on starting some treatments next month. I'm going to do a treatment called ozone therapy by IV. I'm not sure if you've heard of that or not.
I have, yes.
Then I'll be doing the chelation therapy. And so my question to you is first, if you can ask my spirit guides, and I talk to my spirit guide every night, if they feel that this is, you talk about intuition. My intuition, I found a doctor in the Sarasota area, and Sarasota is very open to this kind of stuff. To help me. And I just want to see if this is the right path. And then if you can help with your scans, if there's something else that I should be looking at, because recently I've just been getting more fatigue and not feeling quite as well. It just seems like some of my issues I'm having, I'm just finding them out more and more. I'd like to know if there's anything else maybe I should consider when I start my treatments next month. And then I also wanted to say, happy birthday to my daughter. She'll be 21 coming up soon.
Oh, what's your daughter's name?
Lauren.
Lauren. Okay. Happy birthday, Lauren. Happy heavenly birthday. I always think they must make amazing cake in heaven. Sugar addict, right? I'm thinking it's got to be more exciting than just angel food cake, right? I mean, I'm thinking like lots of cream cheese frosting, and lots of candles and stuff like that. But our spirit tells me that they don't eat. And that's one of the things that they miss of being human is that they love to eat, when they're incarnated. But let me get you on my radar, Richard, and let's see what's going on with the mold. How this works is I raise my vibrational level to the level of spirit. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to watch a laser beam come from my body here in Birmingham. It's going to head south to you in Sarasota. And then I'm going to have a hologram of you in my mind's eye. And it'll be as if I'm looking at an X-ray or a CT scan or an MRI. Something will be identified. Immediately thereafter, there will be some type of energetic healing that will begin. And the reason why I'm very descriptive with what I'm seeing in my mind's eye is if you can envision it in your mind's eye, it's going to help integrate the healing into your body. And that's why I'm so descriptive. And just, caveat here, my analogies sometimes are really hilarious. And that's truly just how they come in. That's how I envision them. And a lot of them are the same for people, lots of people, with the same symptoms. But sometimes, like earlier this week, I had a professional chef. And so I kept getting all these analogies of stuff that she would understand of when she was, doing her chef work. And it was hilarious. I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's interesting how things are described so that we can get it. What it is it's an analogy, Richard, for an energetic healing that's happening. And it's presented to me in a way so that we can have a frame of reference for what the energetic healing is that's happening. So here we go. Here comes my laser beam from Sweet Home, Alabama, heading south. It's going behind me, going behind my chair. And all right, got you. Shooting energy from your feet up through the top of your head. Yeah, you got a bunch of mold in your body. Have you remediated your home? Is it in your home or your office? Have you figured that out yet?
Well, I found a company that specializes in this, and they did some air samples, took a couple of dust samples, and they couldn't find the mycotoxin. There was a mild mold, but it wasn't that mild, and it wasn't a mycotoxin that I had. So I think it could have come from a previous place I lived a year and a half ago. So I did spend about 4 years in a sales trailer some time back that I was still kind of ill in. So maybe it's been in me a long time. I don't know.
It looks like it. When I see somebody that's had really intense mold exposure, Richard, your energy field looks like it has moss on it, like sheets of moss that you'd see at a craft store, maybe a Michael's, and sometimes you'll see it around the top of an orchid plant or something that it's decorative. And that's what it looks like. Your body is starting to detox because I can start to see little areas where the mold is disintegrating. I'm going to work on you over the break, Richard. I'm going to keep you over and I'll pick you up on the other side of our break, but I'll work on you in the meantime. Everybody stay with us. You're listening to the Ask Julie Ryan show, and I'll come back with a report of what I'm getting on Richard. So stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, we were talking with Richard in Sarasota, Florida, about his mold exposure. And so what I did during the break, Richard, was I cleared the mold out of your system energetically. And it likes to even hide in the brain. And brain matter looks to me like thick cooked oatmeal. And so I took your brain out of your body. You can't do this in the operating room, but I could do it in woo-woo with woo-woo. And I spread it out like I was rolling out sugar cookie dough on a countertop. And then I irrigated the mold spores that were hiding out in the little crevices in the brain. And then I put your brain back in. So we probably gave you an IQ boost. We'll see if you feel smarter tomorrow after this healing. But I did that. I got it out of your system. Looks to me like you have yeast overgrowth as well. Do you have stomach distress?
Because I changed my diet once I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's to a paleo AIT diet. So I do have gut issues, but I control it by what I eat. But, it's there and I need to deal with it.
The Hashimoto's most likely is caused by the mold exposure and leaky gut, because as an immune response, the cell membranes get tough, and so hormones can't penetrate that cell wall oftentimes. And when you get your gut healthy, it'll help with that. A few tips. The ERMI test, ERMI. Have you heard of that? That's a test that you can run in your home. Also, there's a company called Mold Finders that I follow on Instagram. You may want to look them up. They seem to be more comprehensive than other ones. I've had mold detectives in my house before, and they didn't find mold, and I could see it energetically. So they don't have the wherewithal to detect sometimes all of the different types of mold. And then there are two physicians I want you to look up. One is Neil Nathan, MD. And check out his work. If you go on YouTube, there are lots of videos with him on there. And also Dr. Ann Shippey, Shippy, MD. She's in Austin, Texas. Nathan's in San Diego. And they both are mold detox experts. So you may pick up some golden nuggets from both of them. And if you don't have time to read their books, just go on their website. You'll learn a lot. Or I always say, cheat sheet is go on YouTube and watch their interviews, and you'll get a lot of the gist of what they're writing about. The last thing I would suggest is schedule an appointment with me. We'll do a deep dive, and we'll really get you cleaned out. And we'll have a whole hour to do that. So askjulieryan.com, and I'd love to have a whole hour with you to really, get you on your feet with all of this stuff. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Happy birthday to your baby girl in heaven, and happy holidays to you and your family. Take care. Bye-bye. Alrighty, let's go to Susie next. Hi, Suze. Hi, Suze.
Oh, hi, Julie. I'm sorry. I was trying to get myself to a quiet location.
How are you? You're welcome. How are you?
I'm actually having kind of a nightmare situation I've been dealing with a family member, and I'm trying to figure out how to ask the question. But I guess just if you have any suggestions of how to deal with it, and if something's actually happening. An in-law has been living in a house we own for like 7 years and hasn't paid to live there. And we had a tenant who, was able to cover a lot of the expenses. And then when this in-law met a girl half his age, he moved her in, and the PG&E went from like 161 to 863 last year at this time. So that's the nightmare that we've been in, is paying all these bills for this person to live in the house. And now we need our son to be able to move in there. And the room's all ready for my son, but this in-law and he now married the young woman. And I'm just wondering, he keeps saying that the in-law has trouble telling the truth about anything. And he keeps saying for months and months and months that they're going to move out. And every day he'll say, oh, we're going to move out. We're just wrapping up the deal and all this. And so today he's saying he's going to be out by tomorrow, but he's been saying that for so many months. And he says they're packing up. And I'm just wondering, do you see that he's moving to packing up? Or?
No, he's not. He's not. You're going to have to evict him. You're not going to have to evict him.
Oh, gosh. It's hard to do that with with an in-law. We feel really bad about bringing in the lawyer to have to deal with an in-law because it's close in-law. So
yeah, okay. But the in-law doesn't care about you. So turnabout is fair play with this. This is a business situation. So I would say evict them, and when they get the eviction notice, then they'll get the picture. So unless you want to, you want to continue what you're doing, but I would not feel badly about that for a nanosecond, Susie. Sounds to me like you've been overly gracious to them.
Oh yeah, it's been many years, and it's just he doesn't seem to be able to tell the truth. So that's the problem that's made it hard. Is we've even said that we would help financially get him out, to another place, but he keeps telling us he's handling it and I'm doing it, I'm moving. Do you see that he has a job at all? Does he have a job? Because he talks about a job, but
I get a no. I get a no on that. So yeah. So I think it's time to call in the lawyers. Good luck with that. Thanks for calling. Okay, let's go to Michelle next. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Julie. How are you? Thank you for
I'm terrific. You're welcome. Where are you located?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm in Sunrise, Florida. I've spoken to you many times. The last time we had spoken, I asked you if the speakers in my bedroom were my dad coming through, because I've felt that for 8 years now. I hear static through the speakers. But now recently I've heard it really like a lot in comparison to before. And I have a feeling it's either my ex-boyfriend who just passed away in June or my dad or both of them. So I was kind of wondering if they're together and if they have a message for me, because it's just been a lot lately. And I'll shut the volume off and I'll still hear it.
Wow. Yeah, they're messing with you on that, letting you know that they're around. Yes, they come in together to see you. They don't necessarily hang out in heaven, but when you think of them, they come in. Our heads are big satellite dishes, and every spirit has a frequency. Our heads receive and transmit frequencies. So that's what's happening. You think of them, and then that's their cue. Okay, come in. And so that's what's going on. Do they have a message for you? What I get is no moping around during the holidays. Do joyful things. Do holiday things. Do joyful things. And have you been moping around?
No, I'm trying to get my business off the ground. I'm not moping for sure. I'm working. But I get a little under the weather. Yeah, you get a little sad here and there, but I'm not moping. But I guess the ex feels that he wants me to be more joyful,
Yeah. Okay. So they're saying do holiday things, go to concerts, listen to, even if we don't have any money, go to a church. Most churches have a Christmas concert and you can hear the choir and it's amazing. Or go to the symphony, or I'm going to the symphony Saturday night for their Christmas program. And it's always wonderful every year. So, do things like that to just get in the holiday spirit.
Serious or anything.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Would you be able to tell me my boyfriend's cause of death by any chance? Because I have this thing that keeps coming in my head, and I want to know if my intuition is on point.
When you just asked the question, what I got, Michelle, was heart attack. Does that make sense?
That's what they say. Does it say any myocardia? Does that name come into play? Or?
Well, heart attack, myocardial infarction, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. No moping. Go do something fun for the holidays.
Gonna go do something fun. I'm gonna listen to Ryan.
Right. Thanks for calling. Take care. Bye-bye. Let's go to Lori next. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm terrific. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Where are you located?
I'm in San Diego, California.
Okay, terrific. Well, you got a question for me? Did I lose you? Hello. Oops. I think I lost you. Well, I'll come back to Miss Lori. Let's go to Tracy next. Hi, Tracy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Julie. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. All right. So I have one question for you this evening. And as I'm sitting here, I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. As I'm sitting here waiting, I'm starting to get sick. So maybe we'll just turn the spotlight on me at the moment. Can you see what's going on? I got a piercing headache, and I'm not a headache person.
Yeah. Just all of a sudden, your headache started?
COVID, yes. All of a sudden, and that's so unlike me.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hold you over the break. I'll check you out during our little commercial break. And when I come back, I'll give you what I've come up with. So stay with us, everybody. You're listening to the Ask Julie Ryan Show, and I'll be right back with Miss Tracy. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking with Tracy in Raleigh, North Carolina. And Tracy, I scanned you over the break, and what I got was that it was a stress headache. And so I always ask, is it a stress headache because of actual stress, like I'm stressed out kind of a thing? I get you are under stress, but I got the trigger for this was something that you ate or drank that had preservatives in it. Is there something that you can think of perhaps today or yesterday that you ate that may have had preservatives in it? Were you at a party? Were you eating snacks?
I had wine? I did take out today of a salad. Just ate dinner late at 7 o'clock. But my daughter's all organic, so the only thing I could think of is the salad.
Maybe the dressing. Or something, there's some kind of a preservative in something that you ate. And so what I did was I flushed it out of your system to get that out of your body. A couple of things that you can take, glutathione. I don't know if you have that handy. You can buy it in the stores. Take some of that. The other thing is activated charcoal. Sometimes if you've got that around, have a toothbrush handy because it makes your teeth dark, makes your teeth black. It looks like you've been chewing on coal because you are charcoal, but that will bind to any of the toxins and it will remove it from your body. So there was something either on the salad or my guess is perhaps in the salad dressing is what I was getting on that. So I hope that helps. And I hope you feel better. What I saw when I first got you on my radar, Tracy, was like a ball of yarn almost that was all tightly wound. And so what I did was I smoothed it out and made it kind of spread out so that it wasn't all in a ball. And that was just a visual that I got that was an analogy for what was going on. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You are most welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay, let's see who's next. How about Clay? Hi, Clay.
Hi.
How are you? I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing all right. I called in I don't know, I guess about 2 months ago. My dog had just been diagnosed with, what we thought was just a UTI, and then it came back with some kidney, liver values elevated. And I asked you to do a medical scan, and you told me that unfortunately her spirit was already part of the way out of her body, and that, you were able to talk to her spirit. We kept her comfortable and everything. But unfortunately she didn't make it, and she did pass away this last Saturday.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I've had a really hard time. Thank you. Yeah, I've had a really, really hard time with it. I've had a lot of panic attacks since it. She was actually a service dog for me. And so I think I'm a little bit lost, and I have another dog, and we've had, we've been staying with my girlfriend and her two dogs, or they've been staying with us just to keep my other dog company. And stuff, but I need to know, I've never had to put a dog down. It was the hardest decision that I've ever made. The euthanasia was a little bit, unexpected for me in terms of, what actually happened in the room. And I think I'm just really struggling as to, I want to know that she made it to wherever she was going okay, and that she's happy and she's healthy and she's not in pain, and that, I didn't do anything wrong. And I think I just need a little bit of peace of mind about it, because I'm really, really struggling right now, and the panic attacks are horrible. And with her being a service dog, I lost my biggest coping skill. to kind of what are you getting from her and what is she looking for from me? Like, what can I do and just help?
Yeah. Remind me of her name, Clay.
Tac, T-A-C.
Tac. And remind me what kind of dog she was.
She's a black lab, and she was almost 12.
Black lab. Okay. All right. She's right next to you. She's on your right side. She's around you all the time. She said that you think, she's telling me while you were talking, she was telling me that you think you hear her. And you are hearing her. She's letting you know that she's right there with you. You made all the right decisions. She said you did not, this is verbatim. She said you didn't make a wrong move through all of it. Everything was just perfect the way that you handled it. And I've been there to euthanize dogs of mine, and it is just heart-wrenching. It's awful. So my heart goes out to you. I know it's so sad. She says that you have some of her stuff. Did she have a blanket or something that she laid on? She's talking about a blanket. Did she lay on a blanket on your bed, or what's with the blanket?
Yeah. So she just stayed really cold at the end because she had lost so much weight, and there were these two blankets, one she laid on and the other I covered her up with, and those blankets have like not left my side when I've been on the couch, bed, or anything. Like,
yeah. So she's saying she was talking about the blankets and for you to, to have the blankets close by. And she's saying, pretend you're Linus, from the Charlie Brown cartoon, that he carries his blanket with him. And have you washed them, or can you still smell her on it?
No, I haven't washed them yet. But in the end, because it was a kidney disease, like everything smells kind of gross. I know that's crazy to say, but it does. And, but no, I haven't washed them. I can't.
Okay. So she's talking about go ahead and wash them, and then imagine smelling her like she smelled for most of her life. That's why she's talking about the blanket, and you need to wash the blankets. That's why, because they're kind of yucky smelling. But she wants you to remember what she smelled like when she was well. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like, don't be using some kind of, tutti fruity dryer sheets on it. Get unscented detergent and unscented dryer sheets if you use those. And she's saying that she will help fragrance them with her smell energetically. And spirits do that. I have walked in rooms before where I'll smell something and I'll say, oh, I need to turn on my radar because there's some spirit here that wants to communicate. Because I don't walk around scanning people or scanning places. I mean, I turn my abilities on and off at will. I'm just like a regular person during the day, woo-woo at night. No, just kidding. But she's saying, go ahead and wash the blankets, and then she will fragrance them with her scent, and you'll be able to smell her. And that hopefully that will give you some comfort. Okay.
The thing is that when we did euthanization, she looked up and around all of a sudden, and I haven't been able to talk about it at all, but why did she look around?
She was just ready to go. She was ready to go. That's all I'm getting. She knew that she was going, her spirit was leaving her body, and she was watching her spirit leave her body. So hope that helps bring you some comfort. Everybody stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. Welcome back, everybody. We do this show every Thursday night, at least, except Christmas and New Year's. We'll have pre-recorded shows for this year for that, as we have done in past years. But pretty much every Thursday night, we do this show from 8 Eastern to 10 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The call-in number is 667-770-1476, and the access code is 483620#. So this week, obviously, is a live show. Next week will be a live show, and then the last 2 shows in December will not be. They will be pre-recorded because I will be celebrating the holidays with my family and friends, as I hope you are as well. All this call-in information is available on my website, AskJulieRyan.com, and in the show notes. It's also available on all of my social media channels and Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest at Ask Julie Ryan, or on YouTube and Alexa as well on Ask Julie Ryan. You can download the show anywhere you get podcasts, and obviously there's a video on YouTube as well. I give away a free session each month, the first Thursday of each month. And all you have to do to register that is go to ratethispodcast.com/Julie. Again, ratethispodcast.com/Julie and leave a review. Or you can do it on YouTube, or you can do it anywhere that you download podcasts. But it's really easy if you just go to the ratethispodcast.com/Julie place. While you're on my website, AskJulieRyan.com, be sure to sign up for my weekly newsletter. It's a question somebody has submitted, and then I answer it. And then in the body of the email is here's the call-in information. And we post on all social media channels the day of the show. Okay, here's the call-in number. It's going to be a live show tonight. So I'm trying to make it easy on you guys. Big news, Angel Messages for Cats is coming out tomorrow. It's slated to come out tomorrow. So we'll post on the social media channels, and I'll be talking about it next week on the show as well. So that's exciting. It's darling. The illustrations are so cute. And it's a children's picture book. So it's for anybody that's a cat lover, and it's for children of all ages. And it just helps talk about, it's angels teaching kids about cats and spirituality through cats. So I hope you enjoy it. It's the third in the series of Angel Messages books, Angel Messages for Kids, Angel Messages for Dogs, and I caught a lot of grief from the cat lovers. So for you, Angel Messages for Cats is coming out tomorrow. And then also Angelic Attendants is out as well. So give those as Christmas gifts to anybody on your list. We're all going to lose a loved one for the Angelic Attendants book, and then the children's books are just darling. The stories I hear from parents are just heartwarming about how much their kids love those books because they resonate with the message, and they love all the bright colors as well. Okay, what am I forgetting? You can schedule an appointment with me at AskJulieRyan.com. Then we'll have a whole hour to talk about whatever you want to discuss. In that hour, we can cover a multitude of topics. I can scan you medically. We can do past life stuff. I can scan your cat. We can talk to your dead grandma. I can tell how close to death somebody is, whatever. Get guidance from spirit. I had a gal this afternoon who's thinking of moving, and she had a whole bunch of cities on her list. So we went down the list. I got a yes, no. And then the ones that we got a yes on, then we narrowed them down to 3 for her to check out. So that's always fun when we do that too. My class, Angelic Attendant Training, is we're scheduling for October of 2022 right now. I teach it once a quarter. January is full, April's full, October of 2022 is filling up. I think I have 2 or 3 people in it already. So if you're thinking about wanting how to do this work and then implement it in your life, whatever you enjoy doing, it doesn't mean that you're going to be somebody doing this for a living. It just means that you implement it in your everyday life. So everything's at AskJulieRyan.com. All right, here's our question for this week. Comes from Harpreet from Dubai, United Arab Emirates. And she says, "Hi, Julie. I'm not able to have a stable life journey. Every 7 to 9 years, I start over not only career-wise, but I move countries." And she said, that's not necessarily a bad thing. She went on to say, "But I would like guidance on how to remove past life blockages and live the best life I can before I leave this body. Thanks for your guidance, Harpreet." So here's my answer. Hi, Harpreet. Most of us have heard of past life blocks and believe they affect us in a negative way. I have a different opinion about the subject. Yes, we all live many, many lifetimes. Information we glean from past life regressions and scans are often validated with historical data. That is so much fun when that happens, and it happens a lot. I went on to say, in each life, we explore a multitude of general ideas or concepts similar to a script. For example, we may decide to incarnate and experience what it's like to be a teacher. Now, there are countless ways to teach. It can be in a classroom, corporate, or environmental setting. You can teach as an author of a book, a parent, a grandparent, coach, or dog trainer. Each life in a different gender, a different country, and timeline. You get the idea. In each life, we realize new experiences that expand our spirit. All lifetimes give us the opportunity to look at similar situations from a different perspective. My favorite past life analogy is to think of Hamlet. How many times has that play been performed since Shakespeare wrote it in 1603? Who knows? But think about the different countries, languages, actors, costumers, set designers, etc. involved, not to mention what was happening in the world at that moment in history. The same script was used, each time with a different perspective. Past lives are the same. You know how I like to talk in analogies a lot, because I always say it gives our human minds our frame of reference for all this woo-woo stuff that we're doing. Regarding your life's journey, it has and is unfolding perfectly. Your adventures in multiple careers and living in different countries has led you to experience a life your spirit wanted to explore. We create our lives with our thoughts, so all you have to do is think of what's exciting, joyful, and fun, and you'll create a life filled with those concepts. There's no need to clear anything from a past life. Everything has led you to where you are now, which is allowing you to live your best life. And so this whole concept about karma and I got to clear stuff and all that jazz, I don't think we need to clear anything. I think past life clearing can come into play when we're doing a medical healing, an energetic healing, because it can be an energy block that has caused enough pressure that it causes a rupture in the energy field membrane and is allowing a leak in the body. But all of our experiences in every lifetime and all of our experiences in our current lifetime have all unfolded perfectly because it's helped our spirit experience where we want to go. And remember, time doesn't exist in the spirit world. Time is a human creation. So 100 lifetimes of 100 years apiece may not even be a blip on our radar screen. It's just our concept of time that seems to be a long period. So give up the whole thing about I got to clear past life blocks in order to move forward in my life. Just think of what you want. And that's how we create. When we know what we don't want, it helps us create what we do want. So thanks so much for your question. And I hope that gives you some information that you find helpful. Okay, let's go back to the phones. And our next caller is Deanne. Hi, Deanne.
Hi,
Deanne.
how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
Terrific. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
Wisconsin.
Okay, terrific. Got a question for me? Did you guys get snow? My friend in Minneapolis told me yesterday, I was talking to her, and she said they got a bunch of snow up there.
We have a winter storm warning tomorrow.
Oh, there you go. It's on the way. Just in time for Santa. Hopefully it sticks for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Did you as a kid, did you stress? I grew up in Ohio, and when I was little, we used to get so worried if it wasn't going to snow because how was Santa going to arrive if it didn't snow? So I don't know if you went through the same thing, but.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, great. Do you have a question for me?
I do, yes. I have a sister who is dying of cancer, and she was just rushed by ambulance, very, very ill. So I just want to know if she is seeing anybody yet. I've read your book, so that gave me comfort.
Good.
But I'm just wondering how she's doing right now. Okay,
Deanne, what's her name and where is she?
Her name is Dawn, and she is also in Wisconsin. She is in Ladysmith, Wisconsin, at the hospital.
Okay. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to you and from you to Dawn, and then we'll see what's going on with her. If she is dying and her spirit's out of her body that you read about in Angelic Attendance, I will be able to figure out what phase she's in. We'll be able to communicate with her telepathically. So
Okay.
Here we go. Here comes my laser beam from Sweet Home, Alabama, heading up to you in Wisconsin. I'm so sorry that you guys are going through this and that she is as well. Has she been ill for a while?
This is her second time around with the same cancer, so yes.
I'm sorry. She is in phase 7 of the 12 phases of transition. So for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, as we're dying, we're surrounded by angels and deceased loved ones and the spirits of deceased pets. The angels start out in a circle around the person who's dying and then open into a horseshoe. And then eventually are in a straight line across the bottom of the bed if they're in a bed. So, Deanne, I'm going to hold you over for the break. When we come back, we'll talk to your sister and see what she has to say. Stay with us, everybody. You're listening to the Ask Julie Ryan Show, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, we were talking with Deanne in Wisconsin about her sister Dawn. So, Deanne, I hate that you're having to go through this and that she is as well. For those of you that don't know what we were talking about, the 12 phases of transition, before the break, I was explaining that we're all surrounded by angels and deceased loved ones, spirits, and the spirits of deceased pets as we're transitioning. And for those of you that haven't seen them, go to my website, AskJulieRyan.com, and just all of the graphics of the 12 phases of transition are there. And we all go through them, Deanne, whether it's instantly, like in the case of a homicide or suicide, or whether it's something that's prolonged over days, weeks, months. And there are 3 questions that I always ask a person when they're dying. And the first question is, are you ready to go? Dawn is saying yes. Are you in pain? She's saying yes. And what do you need? And she said, just have them be able to let me go. So I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but that's what she's saying. And I hear it.
We know she's in pain. So
yeah. You can talk to her at any time. If you just say something to her in your head, whether you're talking to her on the phone, even if she can't communicate, you can say something to her in your head. She's going to answer you. It's going to come in within a second. It's going to feel like it's your thought. That's how spirits communicate, whether they're attached to somebody who's alive or whether they're deceased. They all communicate telepathically. That's number 1. Number 2, to find out what phase of transition she's in, is you just ask, what phase of transition is Dawn in? And you're going to get a number. And then you can refer to the chart. If you email me, julie@askjulieryan.com, Deanne, I'll send you a chart with all of the phases on one chart. You can download it on your phone. And that ends up being really, really handy to have that as a reference.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if you're noticing that she's progressing through the different phases fairly quickly, you're going to want to get family in to see her if that's what you guys want to do. Can you see her? Are they letting people in the hospitals there?
They will for this instance because they know.
Okay. And hospice is involved?
Yes.
Great. Couple of other things to remember. A lot of times people will actually, as they're dying, they will be able to see deceased loved ones and the spirits of deceased pets. So if she starts talking about that, know that she's seeing them. That's true. She is actually seeing them. Research shows that about 90% of us, as we're dying, we see the spirits of deceased loved ones and pets as we're in our final stages of life. And then the other thing that happens a lot is people will reach up oftentimes. And what's happening with that is they're reaching up to give a hug to a spirit that they're seeing. Perhaps it's a grandmother or a parent or another loved one that's been gone for a while, and they're just so delighted. So know that there is a glorious component. Go ahead. Were you saying something, Deanne?
Just that we have noticed that she was doing that.
Yeah, So that's what she's doing. It's like they reach up and people think, what are they doing? Or they'll look in a corner. What they're seeing is they're seeing deceased loved ones' spirits that are there, and they're reaching up like, oh my gosh, it's my Nana or my whomever that's been gone sometimes for a long period of time. I heard a story about a guy whose mother died. He was 95 years old. He was dying, and his mother died when he was 5. So his mother had been gone for 90 years, and he was smelling her perfume in his room. And then she appeared, and his family told me that he just kept talking about how good that smell smelled because he missed it so much, but it was so ingrained, in his mind as a child. So expect lots of miracles along the way. Look for them. Know there's a glorious component unfolding as you guys all go through this. And email me, and I'll send you that chart, and you can share it with your loved ones.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go to Eugenia next. Hi, Eugenia.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Welcome. I'm terrific. Thanks for calling this evening. Where are you located?
Thank you so much. I am in Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, terrific. Got a question for me?
Yeah, I do. It's funny because initially I wasn't sure what my question was, but I came across your picture today and something told me that I should call. I'm going through a lot right now. I've actually had surgery on my left tendon, severe tendon damage. I'm dealing with that. And I'm just feeling generally under the weather. I had my booster shot, but the callers that have been really great, and I really did resonate with, I think, one of the first that I heard about myotoxins for mold. I've had a suspicion that might be the situation for me in my apartment. It's a very old, very cute, but old place. I have asthma, so I've got a lot going on. So, yeah, take your pick, I suppose. But yeah.
All right. Well, let me get you on my radar, and then we'll see what's going on, and then hopefully I'll put a little woo-woo on your surgery site and help you heal that quicker. So here we go. Here comes my laser beam. From Sweet Home, Alabama, heading northeast into Boston. All right, got you. Shooting energy from your feet up through the top of your leg. Okay, it's going to your tendon first. No surprise there. So they repaired your tendon. Did you injure it? Did you have an accident or something?
Yeah, it was rather dramatic. Freak accident. I broke a plate and then it went into my ankle. 3 months later, I'm getting the surgery to actually repair it.
For heaven's sakes.
It's fun fact. My body was trying to create.
Okay, hold that fun fact. We need to take a quick break. When I come back, we'll hear the fun fact. In the meantime, over the break, I'm going to work on you. Stay with us, everybody. You're listening to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. I want to hear this story about the plate particle, or the plate section that went into her leg. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, we were talking with Eugenia in Boston. Girl, what happened with the plate? I want to hear that story.
Yeah, I have a farmhouse sink. I was real tired and I was washing dishes and one of my plates fell on the sink and cracked in half. And then it fell outside of the sink and went right into my leg.
Oh, heavens.
Total freak thing. Yeah. And then 3 months later, I'm getting intense, severe tendon damage repaired. The fun fact was that my body was trying to create its own tendons and fuse itself back together, which I thought you might think was fun. They said it was like a jelly-like substance. So
yeah, like dippity-doo, like my stem cell energy. How about that? Yeah, I love that.
That was very interesting. But yeah, it's been a journey.
Did you go to the emergency room the night that it happened?
Yes, I went to the emergency room and they just told me, just by looking at it, no foot doctor came down, that it didn't cut a tendon. It was just deep. They took an x-ray to make sure there was no glass in there. And then they just sewed me up and called it a day. I went to, my primary care and then a wound specialist. And then eventually, almost 2 months later, I finally went to a foot specialist, and they did an MRI, and lo and behold, there was very bad damage. It was almost cut almost completely. So,
heavens.
Pretty wild. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. I do use stem cell energy in there, so you got more dippity-doo handling in there. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, stem cell energy, I always say, is the absolute coolest stuff that I get to see in energetic healings, because it will regenerate any body part that we need. And I have watched it regenerate whole organs before. And I've had doctors call me throughout the years and say, all right, what are you doing and how does this stuff work? Because the new organ will show up on scans and there's no explanation for it. But stem cell energy looks like a light amber colored gel, and it has sparkles in it because, it's woo-woo. You got to have sparkles. And it is a watery consistency of this gel. So I always say it reminds me of dippity-doo hair gel, which is what I used to see when I was a kid growing up in the 60s and 70s. So I used stem cell energy. There was a vortex that was spinning above your leg. That's just going to help it heal that much faster. It looks like your surgeon did a really good job. So I think you're going to heal completely. I do get that you have mold toxicity, so I cleared that out of your body as well. And like I mentioned to our first caller, Richard, consider doing an appointment with me so we can have an hour really to do a deep dive and work on all of your fun projects. By the way, for those of you that don't know, and Eugenia, maybe you've heard this, but just as a reminder, get on my schedule. Get on my calendar and then save the email with your confirmation information in it, because there's a button there that says reschedule, and you can click on that periodically and it will show you when people reschedule, which they do all the time. Every week I have multiple people reschedule, and a lot of times people will tell me, okay, I checked it yesterday and I got in today, the next day, and they were able to move their appointment up. So give that a whirl, and I hope you heal fast.
Thank you so much. I felt some interesting, my swirling energy, my head was moving about. It was really cool. So
when I was zapping on you over the break. Yeah. I hear that a lot from people, Eugenia. It's funny. I talked to a woman today and she was like, oh my God, I could tell, exactly where the energy is going because I can feel it. And she was in another country. So it doesn't matter where you are. Energy is energy. And it's pretty cool when you get validations like that, isn't it? So you'll heal great. You're gonna be good as new here in no time. So hang in there. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Will do. Take care.
Ready, let's go to Deb next. Hi, Deb.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Julie. Thanks for taking my call from Boise.
You're welcome.
I am sitting here looking at the Christmas lights, and I started thinking of my grandparents, and I was wondering if one of my grandmothers would come through and had any messages for me on this beautiful.
Absolutely. What did you call them?
Grandma, Grandpa, but one of them, we used to call her Shorty.
Was she little or was she tall?
She was little.
That is hysterical. All right. Okay. They're both next to you, and as is your grandfather, your paternal grandfather, is with your paternal grandmother, and your maternal grandmother is there. Which one was Shorty? Your maternal grandmother?
Yeah, my dad's mom.
Okay, so you're paternal. It makes me think of a funny thing. I'm a sorority advisor at the University of Alabama, and one of my girls, she's a Southern belle, born and raised in Alabama, and her family's from here, and her grandmother is this elegant, just class personified woman. I've met her several times, and they call her Big Mama. They call her Big Mama. There's nothing big about her, but she looks like she walked out of a Chanel ad, and they call her, she says, oh, Big Mama's coming. And I'm thinking, okay, I can't wait to Big Mama. And I'm thinking, all right, she looks like Grace Kelly, coming out of a Chanel ad. So it's so funny, what we call our grandparents. All right, you got a question for Shorty?
I just want to know if she has anything for me.
Does she have any messages for you? Okay, who made cookies? She's talking about cookies. I'm hearing cookies a lot. It's Christmas time. A lot of deceased grandmothers and parents are. That's your mom's?
My other grandma. Mm-hmm, okay. My mom's mom.
And what did you call her?
A cookie. Grandma.
Grandma wants you to make. She wants you to make cookies for the holidays and distribute them. And so I always think of Christmas cookies, but she's saying that she used to make a killer chocolate chip cookie. Is that true?
Yes, she did.
All right. And that's exactly how she said it. She said, I used to make a killer chocolate chip cookie. So she wants you to make them and give them to the family and tell them they're from her.
Oh, okay, awesome. But Shorty didn't come through?
Yeah, she's there. But your other grandmother's, she's chattier. She wants you to do the cookies. So,
okay.
Yeah, there you go. You got your marching orders. Do you have her recipe?
Just regular chocolate chip cookies, but it was always made with love.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know why they were killer. I'm picturing some like big cookies with extra chocolate chips in them or something. But she's saying use
chocolate chips.
She's saying use chocolate chips and those chocolate chunk things that they have now. She said use the chocolate chunk too with the chocolate chips.
Okay.
There you go. She wants extra. Okay. And she's saying tell the family they're from her. And she's laughing because your other grandparents are laughing. They're saying, we can't wait to hear how you describe, that she told you to make them all cookies. She's looking forward to how you're going to communicate that to the clan. Oh, funny. All right, Miss Deb, enjoy your cookie making and happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Bye, Julie.
You too. Bye-bye. Oh, how funny. I hear this a lot, you guys, from spirits during the holiday season. I talked to somebody in Ireland, and the deceased mother was saying, make Christmas pudding. I said, I'm getting figgy pudding, and she's calling it Christmas pudding. She said, yeah, that's what we call it. I said, well, there you go. They want us to do the traditional things, our deceased loved ones, because it helps us remember them, and it helps us keep them alive, in our hearts and in our minds. So I think that's so sweet. All right, let's go to Lisa next. Hi, Lisa. Lisa, are you there? Got to get me off mute. Hello. Lisa. All
Hello.
Right. Oh, there you are.
There?
Yeah.
Hi.
I could feel you. I must be psychic or something.
I think you are.
I must be. Please tell everybody where you're located.
I'm in Venice, Florida.
All righty. Terrific. Well, got a question for me?
I do. It's about my little guardian angel dog who's been healthy all her life and started limping, my 10-year-old lab, and now the vet says she has osteosarcoma.
Oh, geez.
And what's that?
I said, oh, geez.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, heavens.
Basically, the only treatment is to amputate the limb.
Oh.
And they're not doing that. And, yeah, it's terrible.
Okay.
So she's in pain, and I was just wondering if you could scan her and talk to her and maybe just see what's going on, and if there's anything I can do or if she wants or,
Yeah. Lisa, what's her name? What's your puppy's name?
Beta with a T. Bheta.
Beta, B as in boy? Like alpha beta?
Beta as in T, as in Tony, Heta. Beta.
Okay. All right.
Greek.
Just another Greek alphabet letter, theta. Okay. All right. Well, I am going to connect with Theta during the break. And when I come back, I'll let you know what I come up with. Everybody stay with us. We'll find out what's going on with Lisa's little lab. And you're listening to the Ask Julie Ryan Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, we were talking with Lisa about her black lab who's 10 named Theta. And she's got a tumor, malignant, in her leg. And so what I did during the break, Lisa, was I removed the tumor energetically, I encapsulate it and then remove it. And then I watched a DNA healing happen where 3 strands of her DNA was put back to a normal recipe to help the tumor die. I got a couple of other things. I got to increase the omega-3s that are in her diet. Do you feed her omega-3 oil of some kind?
We feed her sardines.
You feed her sardines. Okay. All right. That's a high-fat food. The other thing that I got, and I've never heard this before, was to put castor oil packs on the tumor.
Oh my God.
So,
that's the thing I was thinking about, because I used to do that in massage.
Yeah. Castor oil packs, and heat them, like warm them up. Don't make them hot, but make them warm. And put that, do it 4 times a week, a minimum of 4 times a week. If you can do it daily, that will be helpful, but do it a minimum of 4 times a week. And it's gonna feel good for her. She's gonna, pet her and get down on the floor or have her on a couch or something when you're doing that. But be there with her when you're doing it. Don't just tape it on or something along those lines. The other 2 things were she doesn't want her leg amputated, and she says she's got at least another couple of good years in her. So I don't think she's going anywhere. I don't think she's going anywhere anytime soon. So I thought that was, I had the same reaction when she said that. She goes, I got another couple good years. So I hope that helps.
That's so, because she's dragging her leg.
Yeah.
But she's strong.
Right.
A strong,
right.
Tender.
Yeah. Try the castor oil packs. I've never received that for a diagnosis with a dog before, but it's what came in from Spirit. So give it a whirl. And I hope that helps.
Thank you very much.
You are most welcome. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, let's go to Helen. Hi, Helen.
Hi, how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you?
Good.
Where are you located?
Oh, thank you for in Ohio, the Cleveland area.
Cleveburg. Well, good. You got a quick question for me? I've only got a couple of minutes left. You got a quick question for me?
Yes, just about when someone passes suddenly. Are they aware of, we had a teacher that passed, and when I saw her on the last day, on Tuesday before the holiday, we had a nice laugh, and then the next day, not the next day, but on Friday after Thanksgiving, we received a message that, she had passed away, and, she was in good spirits and everything before we left for the holiday. So I just wondered, are they in pain or something when they just pass suddenly like that?
Not normally. No, that's the thing that we hear from spirits when they're, very close to death, is they're not in pain. For the most part, the brain starts to shut down at the end, Helen, and it prevents that from, prevents them from feeling pain. And it's a shock for all of us. My brother-in-law just passed a couple weeks ago very suddenly, and it's just a shock. And I talked to a girlfriend a couple nights ago that had a friend that died very suddenly too, and it's harder on us than it is on those of us, those that are passing. Yeah, they go quickly. They say it's much easier to die than it is to be born. Come down through the birth canal and all that.
Yes, because we had a memorial tonight, and I just know that her spirit, I know that, she's at peace, but it's just really hard, right now at school. So, and we had a student pass in a fire, so, and I know he didn't suffer. I know what I know, but
But for someone suddenly when she wasn't sick, I mean, she had health issues, but she was laughing. We were having the best time that Tuesday and then that Friday we got an email, So I just wondered, I'd never heard of a sudden passing, like what, if they're passing their sleep, if they're in any pain. So I know she's at peace.
Well, my philosophy is happy, healthy, dead. So that's the way to go. I think, you don't want to suffer.
Yes.
So I keep telling my son I'm going to be 120, happy, healthy, dead. So he's got me for a long time.
That's where I feel the same way. Yes.
Yeah. Well, condolences to you and her family and your friends. Okay. Thanks, Helen. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, that's it for this week. What a group. It's always fun to see who calls in and what their questions are. As I mentioned earlier, live show next week, and then the 2 last Thursdays in December, we'll do pre-recorded shows for the holidays, which are terrific. I've got wonderful guests lined up. The first one on the Thursday of Christmas week, the week before Christmas, I have a gal who's a dream interpreter that you guys are going to love because she interprets a dream of mine that I've had multiple times, and it's really fun to go through that. And then the one for New Year's is a lawyer who's a psychic, and he calls himself the social psychic, and he's really an interesting guy as well. Chap. I was going to say he's an interesting chap. Everything you need is at AskJulieRyan.com. All my social medias, Ask Julie Ryan. My website's Ask Julie Ryan. Remember angelic attendants and angel messages for kids, angel messages for dogs, and angel messages for cats as gifts to give to your loved ones. The children's books in particular are just so sweet, and the illustrations are gorgeous. And they were written because I had so many moms ask me to write them. They said, can you please help me explain what happens when somebody dies to my child? Because I don't know how to explain it to them. And can you please help me explain past lives to my child? Because they know information we can corroborate with historical data. And then lastly, can you explain how my child can communicate with spirit and get information that there's no way they would know? So those are all good gift ideas. I will see you here next week, everybody. Have a great weekend. Sending you lots of love from Sweet Home, Alabama. Mwah. Bye, everybody.
Be sure to follow Julie on Instagram and YouTube at Ask Julie Ryan, and like her on Facebook at Ask Julie Ryan. To schedule an appointment or submit a question, please visit AskJulieRyan.com.
This show is for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be medical, psychological, financial, or legal advice. Please contact a licensed professional. The Ask Julie Ryan Show, Julie Ryan and all parties involved in producing, recording, and distributing it assume no responsibility for listeners' actions based on any information heard on this or any Ask Julie Ryan shows or podcasts.